Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2022 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The first race in yet another double header. These races are coming thick and fast now, and there's so much action coming up over the next few weeks as we get towards the summer break. And you know what? I always look forward to Baku because you never know what's going to happen, and it's almost a guarantee at this point that something will happen to mix things up. Then again, there's always the chance we end up with a 2016 style race. But let's be positive. Let's hope for a cracker again this year. But let's kick this preview off as we always do then with a look at all the usual stats and everything that follows. So last time out, F1 was in Monaco for what felt like a hectic Monaco Grand Prix. But now it's on to Baku for round 8 of the 2022 championship season. A lap of the Baku city circuit is 6.003 kilometers long, that is just over 3.7 miles if you prefer, and is made up of a total of 20 corners, that is 12 to the left and 8 to the right, and come Sunday we should, all being well, see a total of 51 racing laps. There will, as was the case last year, be 2 DRS zones this weekend, with the first running from just after turn 2 all the way to turn 3, and the second, as you'd expect, will run down the start-finish straight. The race lap record was set by Charles Leclerc in 2019 as he posted a 1:43.009, and of course, the Ferrari driver started on pole last year but couldn't convert that into victory as Sergio Perez led home Sebastian Vettel and Pierre Gasly following a dramatic end to the race. I'm sure you remember it well, but we had a late red flag following Max Verstappen's tyre blowout, snatching away what looked like an almost certain victory, and as it turned out, left us with a 2-lap shootout, a shootout that Lewis Hamilton then looked likely to win as he passed Sergio Perez at the restart. But just seconds later, and thanks to some brake magic, it all fell apart for him and left Checo clear to take his first win for Red Bull. Baku and drama just seem to go hand in hand, don't they? And you know, we all love a little bit of drama, if we're being honest, from time to time on a race Sunday, but not quite as much as we love talking about tyres. Don't sit there denying it. I know you do really, so here you go. It's tyre talk time. The compounds available for this weekend are once again the softest in the Pirelli range, and they are, of course, the hard C3, the medium C4, and the soft C5. Strategy, obviously, is important as always, but it is possible to overtake in Baku, with Aston Martin actually saying there are an average of 40 overtakes per race at the circuit, not including the first lap. And if you're interested, around 66% of those are down to some DRS use. Now, last year's winning strategy was a 2-stopper officially, although the second tyre change was made under red flag conditions, and so prior to that, it looked as though most teams and drivers were heading for a 1-stopper. The track surface, according to Pirelli, is low grip, but it is also low when it comes to abrasion, so it's very possible we'll be looking at another 1-stop race on Sunday, assuming, of course, we don't get any more red flags. It must be said, though, the long straight does still mean the tyres are put through their paces, and thanks to that 90 left and 90 right first sector and the tight twisty castle section, good traction and good tyre management are both important, and to quote Mario Isola, you need to have enough heat in the front tyres to generate grip despite the long straights that cool them down, but not too much heat at the rear, otherwise it's easy to overheat them in the traction zones. It's all about that balance in Baku, and although it is a street track, it is completely different to Monaco, as I'm sure all of you know, so we are likely to see a low to medium downforce setup from most, if not all, teams. Safety cars and, as already mentioned, red flags are a distinct possibility this weekend, and we've seen at least one full safety car or virtual safety car period at 4 of the 5 races at the track, including 4 full safety cars in 2017 alone. And we had that red flag last year, but that wasn't the only one, because we also had a red flag in 2017. And I do want to quickly say, because it could have an impact on strategy, about 3 weeks ago now, Baku organisers said that tweaks will be made to the pit entry to make it safer, but according to the track map the FIA put out on Wednesday morning, there aren't any notable changes. But if we do get any more information between me saying this and the video going out, I will pop a link to an article explaining more down in the description. Weather-wise, it doesn't currently look as though rain will be making an appearance, surprise, surprise. FP1 and FP2 on Friday are set to be cloudy with highs of 27 and 26 degrees respectively. It will be a bit warmer on Saturday though, with sunny conditions and highs of 28 degrees for the third practice session and qualifying. And on Sunday it is very much the same, with highs of 28 for the start of the race, and the highest threat of rain for the whole weekend, by the way, is a whopping 2%, and that's on Sunday. So yeah, probably not going to see any wet weather. And of course, as always, that is the forecast on Wednesday afternoon, and so there is still plenty of time for that to change between now and the weekend, but I'd be amazed if it's anything other than warm and dry. And your schedule for the weekend is ever so slightly earlier than the usual European times, most notably on Sunday. But FP1 will kick the weekend off as usual, and that starts at 12 p.m. midday BST on Friday, with FP2 getting going at 3 p.m. The final practice session on Saturday starts at midday as well, with qualifying underway from 3 p.m. later that afternoon, and it's lights out for the race on Sunday at 12 midday, and once again that is in UK time. Basically going into this weekend, just remember 12 midday and 3 p.m. and you should be fine. Before I get onto the flashback then and make some probably pretty horrific predictions, let's have a quick run through a few news stories and talking points ahead of this weekend's Grand Prix. First up, Red Bull's Paul Monahan says that the team is confident it has fixed the DRS issues that gave Max Verstappen so much grief in Spain, but admits that the real test will come when the system needs to be opening at high speed this weekend. Ahead of the Monaco Grand Prix, Red Bull engineers worked hard to fix the problems and a more permanent solution has been found. Of course, between qualifying in Spain and the race, all they could do was throw a temporary fix at it, which clearly didn't work. But although it was on the car last time out, Monaco is hardly a big DRS test, certainly compared to the long straight in Baku, so this weekend will be a big test for it. Monahan admitted that the issue was self-inflicted but didn't go into too many details. But rumours have been doing the rounds this year suggesting Red Bull may have cut a few too many corners when trying to reduce the weight of the RB18. But again, I must stress that is just speculation. On the subject of DRS, Max Verstappen has said that the issues he faced in Spain with the system proves that F1 still needs it on the cars to help with overtaking, and that's despite the changes to the 2022 rules. The Dutchman said that although it is easier to follow cars this season and the drag is certainly less, without DRS, drivers just get stuck in a train. And another thing to keep an eye out for this weekend is porpoising, because this will likely also be a real test to see which teams have actually solved their issues and which teams still have work to do. That long run from turn 16 all the way to the first corner could be very telling. Elsewhere, Williams has become the first team to fall foul of F1's financial regulations and has been fined by the FIA. The governing body said the team had failed to submit its completed reporting documentation from last year by the deadline of March 31st, 2022. Williams was told of the breach in April, and the team collaborated with the FIA to rectify the situation, including entering into an accepted breach agreement, which ultimately resulted in a fine. And that fine was for a total of $25,000. Williams also agreed to remedy the breach by May 31st this year, and it was confirmed that, quote, Williams has within the specified deadline remediated the procedural breach, paid the financial penalty and bore the costs incurred by the cost cap administration. Basically, to put it more simply than that, they've submitted the documentation by the deadline, paid the fine and the costs incurred. On the subject of money, I'm sure we'll hear more this weekend about the possibility of a cost cap increase, so keep an eye out for that one. But as of right now, no solution has yet been found. And finally for this part, and in case you missed it last week, Sergio Perez has put pen to paper on a new 2-year contract extension with Red Bull and will remain with the team for 2023 and 2024. I think it's fair to say Checo has had a very strong start to this season with 4 podiums, including that win last time out in Monaco and 3 second-place finishes. He wasn't even all that far off in Jeddah or Miami either, finishing 4th at both races. So in all honesty, based on this season alone, that extension was an absolute no-brainer and totally the right call in my view. I mean, look, I was fully expecting him to stay, so it wasn't really a shock, although I must admit, the 2-year deal was a pleasant surprise. As for what that means for the likes of Pierre Gasly, well, Helmut Marko hinted to German media that the lineup at AlphaTauri is set to remain the same in 2023, and the likes of Liam Lawson, Juri Vips and Jehan Daruvala will have to wait another year for any potential opportunity to arise. So, I suppose unsurprisingly really, the road back to Red Bull does look closed off for Gasly, but although he does have a contract until the end of 2023, that doesn't necessarily mean another team won't be able to price him away for next year. We'll have to wait and see, of course, but if we take Marko at his word, AlphaTauri's lineup will remain unchanged for next season. That's enough for the news. It's time to take a look back at a classic race in Baku, and quite honestly, there was only ever going to be one choice for me here. The review of the race was the first ever video on the F1 Word almost 5 years ago now, so how quickly does time fly? But anyway, so let's flash back to the 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So following a slightly dull event from the year before, there wasn't much hope of a classic going into the race, but it was a dramatic start as Valtteri Bottas and Kimi Räikkönen came together, leaving the Mercedes with a puncture, dropping him to last place and a lap down on the leaders as he crawled back to the pits for repairs. The safety car was deployed to recover Daniel Kvyat's stricken Toro Rosso, and under the caution on lap 19, Sebastian Vettel went into the back of Lewis Hamilton, accusing the Mercedes driver of a brake test as he pulled alongside and turned in on Hamilton in anger and made contact, a move that saw the Ferrari driver pick up a 10-second stop-go penalty. At the restart, the two Force Indias came together, damaging both cars and throwing debris all over the track, resulting in a red flag. Not the last time those two would come together. At the red flag restart, Daniel Ricciardo overtook not one, not two, but 3 cars into turn 1, a move that would turn out to be for the win as Vettel still had his penalty to serve, and Hamilton ended up having to pit for repairs to his headrest after it came loose. All of that chaos gave us a 1-2-3 of Ricciardo, Stroll and Ocon with just 12 laps to go, but Bottas was on a charge through the field and passed the Force India into turn 1 for 3rd place on lap 40, and then ended up in a drag race to the flag on the last lap with Lance Stroll, the Finn just pipping the Canadian to 2nd place. But Stroll did still get his first ever F1 podium, becoming the youngest rookie and the 2nd youngest driver in F1 history to make it into the top 3. But it was ultimately Daniel Ricciardo's victory in the end, despite actually being 17th at one point in the race, with championship rivals Vettel and Hamilton finishing 4th and 5th respectively. And you know, I don't think I've ever looked at a Formula One podium before and gone, how the hell did you 3 get there? Crazy. Right then, it's predictions time. If you got that reference, by the way, you are a legend, but it is predictions time. And as always, don't take these too seriously. They are just a little bit of fun. And if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comment section down below. Honestly, I don't want to talk about my Monaco predictions. I prefer to pretend they never happened. It was another absolute shocker, but hey, at least I got one thing right. Moving on. This weekend is an interesting one because there are elements of the track that should suit both Ferrari and Red Bull. And yes, I suppose that is the case at every racetrack, but take my point on that one, and I do think it's once again between those two teams for the win, and I don't think that's going to come as too much of a shock to anybody. The only thing that could stop them is a little bit of chaos, something, as I've already been over, we have seen a fair bit of over the years in Baku, so you never know, we might get a shock result. I mean, look at last year's podium, for goodness sake, but I'm leaning towards Red Bull for this one, more so on race day, but we already know Ferrari is very strong over one lap. It is a tough one, so based on how bad my predictions have gone over the last few weeks, I'm going to hedge my bets just a little bit and go with a Charles Leclerc pole again, but say that Max Verstappen gets some redemption, if you like, for last year and goes on to take the victory on Sunday, leading home teammate Sergio Perez, who we know goes very well in Baku. And I'll say that Charles Leclerc takes the final step on the podium for Ferrari. As for podium outsiders, I'm actually going to go with Alpine this weekend because I'm not convinced Mercedes has solved its porpoising issues in this weekend, as I said earlier, as a big test. Plus, Alpine did go well in Jeddah, and there are some similarities between Baku and Jeddah. Really, though, specifically the high-speed nature of it, although the twisty parts of the track will be a big test for them as well. And yeah, if we do see a chaotic race, I can absolutely see Fernando Alonso nicking a podium on Sunday. On the subject of chaos and drama, though, my bolder predictions are for a double Haas points finish, so that's Mick Schumacher jinxed yet again. Yuki Tsunoda bags a top 6 finish on Sunday, and Zhou Guanyu picks up his first point since his debut in Bahrain. Because it's Baku and we could get a mixed up result, my holy crap, that race was mental, what the hell happened podium is Vettel, Magnussen and Alonso in any order you like. Could you imagine the race we'd have to have for that to come true? I almost want it to happen now. But anyway, that is it for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix preview, but you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comment section down below. Now, I will be back live on Sunday shortly after the race for the usual reaction stream, and just a reminder that I will be solo for that stream, and it will be much shorter than usual. I'm hoping around 60 to 75 minutes. That's the plan at this stage, but you know how I love to waffle. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel out, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.